it's a very good question. He said, sustain what? Is my life sustainable, continuity, or sustaining the growth of the human habitat? Good question. I think if my wife was here, it would have been fun. I think the youth of this place, probably my involvement with students of architects and the young architects, keeps my interaction with the spirits of the day. So what happens is when you meet them quite often, more often than what other people do, it keeps me really going. It's challenging to meet their demands. Whereas if I meet the older person, it's nice for a small relaxing talk and all this, but it doesn't have the challenge. It doesn't have the challenge because they're above you or they're equal to you, and the conversation is not in depth of something. It becomes not a challenging conversation, but it becomes interesting. But whether it's a student or an youngster, and an architect, the spirit conscience here is a challenge for the person to be influenced, or I be influenced with the person. I feel something very magical transformation happens when you meet the young one, and it gets into you. Whether physically I'm able to do it or not is secondary, but mentally the mind starts thinking, what has this boy or girl really wanting to do and asking? The challenge becomes really. Whereas with a senior older person, the challenge is not, he's already achieved things. Whereas here they're going to achieve. That keeps us questioning and questioning. Very much. Because I feel this young spirit wants me to challenge my own designs and say, what have I done? What are my new ambitions and new directions? Am I really convinced about my own philosophy? So I can't get away with it and go away. But the youngster has the guts, very innocent guts of asking, oh, what did you do? Whereas the other thing, it went isn't what have I done? No, what will you do next? That challenge becomes continuous, especially when you go to a college, when you meet younger, not in a meeting. So what next? But without losing the direction. That I find is a very big challenge. Sometimes if it's a commercial thing, the end user is totally different. Whereas if it's a domestic thing or something, the end user is the same person. The influence is there. Even in a domestic, when a person designs a home, very often I find the man comes and talks to me in the beginning. Then I just smile. I don't think you're going to live in that house as much as your wife or children are going to live. But I'm the one friend. I said, no. They're the people who want to use that space. I want to talk to them. The end user and the initiator is different. Then the great merger happens. He starts understanding, she starts understanding, children start understanding. The young ones, by the time you finish a house at 2 years, 1.5 years, they grow, they start questioning. And he said, who is this architect who is designing challenges with that young ones? Since you asked me, I won't mention names. I still remember talking to the daughter. Then I still talk to the father and the mother and then the grandmother. They have lived a style of life. But when it came to the daughter's room, she said, sir, you have been teaching me. I won't forget it. I want the simplicity in my room, in my space. Whereas the father said, I can afford anything. This is my only daughter. Just give her the most expensive flooring and finishes. She said, no. I want him to design the way he has taught me. I didn't know that she was my student some time back. So her floor became the simplest of spaces. The fun of it was, after a few years, the father calls me and said, now I understand. Can you change all my marble and back to the cement floor and things of my other house? I said, usually it's the other way. He said, now I understand why the girl wanted. She's now full-scale architect. I now understand the language changes. I feel the people should be taught to think on their own and then not be unnecessarily influenced, but then also respect the past and look at today's technology and art and then try to respond to the issues involved and then project the future. Because they are going to live in that space for a longer time. It is not the past they're going to live, it's the future they're going to live. It's an architect's, I would say, I won't use the word job, it is the philosophy or it is much more than that should present this youngster, the position, the place where he or she becomes part of the transformation and continues to be part of the transformation. It is just not a forced or fixed box. should be much more. To me, personally, no. But if I look at the general aspect of architecture that's happening around the world, yes, it is killed. Because the tool has become so powerful that the tool has dominated the profession rather than the spirit of designing or spirit of space dominating. It's the tool that has dominated. That I agree with you. But there are still 1% or 2% of architects who ask the tool to say, you must remain in your place and then add value to our imagination and innovation. It's there, but that space is limited. I believe in the next 10, 15 years, the youngsters are going to come up with a lot of imaginative translations and transformations. That's what I said even in the morning when I was talking to some youngsters. Think of your future, where you will build, where you will live. You will live not in the space I do, in the space that you can imagine, can't even imagine. So get into that imagination. Maybe outer space or under the earth or beyond thing, where technology is questioned rather than technology starts dominating. That should happen. He said, sustain what? Is my life sustainable, continuity, or sustaining the growth of the human habitat? Is it that? I have no point to answer to that. Is my life sustainable on this earth? Isn't the earth changing all the time? Isn't the life on earth changing all this time? Who knows, humans may go, somebody else may come in the future. Like it happened thousands of years, something. Why are we worried? I won't be worried. I will take the challenge and say, let's keep with it. Climate change, other things, that all happen, but the future is unbelievable. I think we should just continue. If that is sustainability, I'm with it. But if sustaining the present and pushing forward, I'm a little skeptical.